All right. So, my work is from the realm of the unknown. That is, we have the Johari window. I know what I know. I know what I don't know. I don't know what I know. I don't know what I don't know. So, I don't know what I don't know quadrant. So, there is a whole encyclopedia's worth of material that we don't know about. Yeah. So, for example, we talk in terms of hatha yoga, but we think about, be positive, be positive. Yeah. And our relationship with the negative is not so positive. Yeah. Or is more negative to the point that it is really something that we would like to not have or not have to deal with. So there's an imbalance between the positive and negative. And hatha yoga, yeah, keeping the light, dark, visible, invisible, is having a little bit of a difficulty. Yeah. Um, Humanity across boundaries. We used to have Russia, Ukraine, yeah, all of those challenges, different countries. That's not a concern. Yeah, it's more like we used to have different stages of that, but more WHO list of diseases there. And that list is talking about how much our health is not on as balanced as it needs to be. Yeah? Meaning to that extent, there are different levels of, even have different levels of legalized violence. For example, we will go into those details, but let's just say to begin with, our balance between the light and dark, white and black, yeah? Racist concerns, male, female, gender spectrum, that wouldn't be a problem, but the problem is we talk a lot, mind body dichotomy, not so much in balance. We think, oh, mind and body are related, but they're related in how ways? So, movementless yoga, what I'm calling is healthy and natural breathing. Okay, let's just say healthy and natural breathing. Breathing has inhalation and exhalation. Yeah, after every inhalation there's a certain pause, and then there is an exhalation, and then there's a certain pause, and then there's an inhalation. So that continues, which means there are two phases to it. Let's just say, I wouldn't want to call it as four phases, because then we begin to start counting it differently instead of seeing it as a cycle. After one comes, like after day comes night, after night comes day, after day comes night. Instead of seeing it this way, we'll put corners to it and say four, which is unfair, because then we are having a difficulty relating with cyclical processes. Okay? So we don't become a pie, we become like a rectangle or square, and we're having edges and sharp edges. We could even hurt ourselves on sharp edges. Yeah? We're not getting round character, we continue to remain as flat characters. Yeah? I'm quoting Jane Austen here. Okay. So on that note, and then we have pride and prejudice, and sense and sensibilities a little off. I know I'm using a lot of hands, um, but I'm also trying to bring your attention to, there are different ways by which I'm communicating. One is through my facial expressions, one is through the words, one is through my hands, one is, say for example, what's in the background, the clothes I'm wearing, the color. Um, so there is many media that I'm using by which I'm attempting to communicate the matter. So I'm trying to keep it simple by a one color background, so there is not too much of distractions. Um, so communication is a multifaceted um, aspect, or multifaceted. Um, it's like cooking or like food. When you say a plate, a meal of something you'd like to eat, is not just about what you see or what you just eat. It's also the smell, it's also the sound of it, it's about what feeling does it evoke. It's what you see, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, knowing. So when food goes in, what do you know about what you eat? Yeah. um, can you discern the slightly pungent taste, to the sour taste, to a little bit of salt, to that oil in there, to recognition from, oh, I don't recognize that taste because there is no memory of it from prior experience of that taste. And then when you say pungent, if you're familiar with, and then you're eating something, oh, you recognize, oh, remember this intensity of pungency versus that intensity. So your knowing, your knowledge, the knowing sense is getting better. So six senses are engaged when you're eating or when you're cooking. Similarly, communication is a many sense organ phenomenon. Yeah. So I'm attempting to get this message across through these videos. And healthier natural breathing, movementless yoga. Okay, yoga is a multifaceted phenomenon, experience, which cannot be just put into a few words, into a certain way of breathing, to certain poses, or some conversations, some words in particular, incantations. It's more than that. And what I am bringing to the table for your consideration is there is the light and the dark aspects of it. And we've been having a difficulty handling the dark aspects of it, which is why yoga has been a little lopsided bum. Yeah. W.H.O.'s list of diseases. Diseases are there, and several perspectives are missing, because of which yoga has not been happening as well as it could. Over the years, there have been several levels of healing that's been happening. Integration coming about. Yeah. And then we have so much more that is possible now after so many ripples of becoming better across countries. We also have internet. We have international trade, discussions. We have United Nations, world international bodies like that. So much has come about since those times when we used to have warring tribes, yeah, to now we can now do so much better, yeah. And the dark aspects of it require to be addressed. Now you would say shadow work or shadow self. When we think of it in those terms, it's presuming to know that we know the light self. Yeah? That as though we know the light self, what we know is already known, and then what we don't know is in the shadow. So that's presuming to know that, what we know and what we don't know is clear, which it is not. It's not as black and white. For example, the spectrum, the gender spectrum, the what have you, autism spectrum, different kinds of spectrum is talking about how much we are still in different stages of recognizing, or cognizing, and then recognizing. Yeah. I consider it as living on the ledge, not living on the edge, because it's too sharp, like a sword. Yeah. Sword could be sharp. Living on the ledge between knowing and not knowing, just there. Knowledge. Yeah. Our ledgers, for example, the accounts need to balance, otherwise it's a little, credit, debit, and all that stuff. So to come to zero account, there is no give, take, balance. Ledge helps. So living on the ledge between the knowing and the not knowing, and then standing on that ledge, safe, comfortable enough, it's not so sharp, and you can be safe, you can just a little behind, so you're standing more on what you know and looking out into the not known, but in a way that you can consider what you know and not know mindfully, considerately, and you have a nice little space to keep your foot, and then it's not like tightrope, push up. No. So that's a point of reference, just a way of thinking of how to kind of approach what I'm talking about, or how to approach what you already are having in life and are looking out at making better, improving, living on the ledge. Yeah, knowledge. Yeah. Thank you so much for kind consideration.